Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Wednesday and it's December the 11th, 2024. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. I always say the tide changes so frequently on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. Well, I'm sure you'll admit there's a lot going on around us these days, and it's just so easy to become distracted. But each day, my focus returns to the health and well being of our young children who continue to face considerable obstacles in their lives. And in today's video, we're going to look at recent arrests in the state of North Carolina for child sex crimes, and we're focusing on one month, the month of November 2024. I'll provide you with a summary here and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. So we'll go ahead and start closer to home in the city of Fayetteville here in North Carolina. And the date of this reporting was November the 1st, 2024. And the news headline read as follows: Fayetteville man charged with statutory RAPE of a child. And the information released to the public by the Fayetteville Police Department states that this man here, James Garner, 20 years old, was charged with a statutory RAPE of a child by an adult. When you're talking about these cases, a lot of information is not readily available. But this case, the incident may have happened a few months ago, and I do believe he was arrested close to the end of October, but it was publicized in November, and that's the reason we're covering it in this November report. And when Gardner was arrested, he was initially issued a bond of $1 million. And I say initially because that bond was later reduced. Surprisingly, the bond went from $1 million. New bond is $75,000, which seems absurd. You went from 1 million to 75, which is not even 10% of what the initial bond was. But nonetheless, I'm sure there were supporting justification for that, but he remains in jail with that new bond set at $75,000 and no court date has been identified. On November the 6th, this 23-year-old man from Rocky Mount was arrested by the Pender County Sheriff's Office and charged with statutory sex offense with a child and indecent liberty with a child, and he's currently in jail with a $300,000 bond. On November the 7th, this 30-year-old man from Carolina Beach, Jonathan Bentley, he was arrested and charged with multiple counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, 14 counts to be exact, and he was given a bond of $100,000. He was also charged with child pornography, receiving child pornography. He was given a bond of $100,000. Still on November the 9th, now we're moving to Spartanburg County, which is really in South Carolina. And yes, we're talking about it because the crimes in question happened in South Carolina as well as in North Carolina. The headline read, Spartanburg County man charged with child sex crimes in South Carolina and North Carolina. And this matter involves 62-year-old Ian Mitchell Farnsworth, pictured here. He's a Spartanburg, South Carolina resident. Now, police began investigating him back in September when there was a warrant out for his arrest on child sexual abuse in another county. And while doing their investigation, police determined that there were other victims in Spartanburg County. Now, within the past year, there's been 2 new victims who have reported ongoing sexual abuse. And previously, he had been charged of sexual violation of a child who was under the age of 11. So after this recent arrest, in early September, he was charged with multiple counts of child sexual abuse, and he awaits in jail until a trial date, which has not yet been set, but bond has been denied. Now, on November the 12th, this man pictured here, 31-year-old Aaron Coltrane, he was arrested and charged with multiple counts of statutory RAP of a child under the age of 15. In fact, they had been looking for him since March, but it took him until November to catch up with him and arrest him. And this is a summary of the report that was posted by the Randolph County Sheriff's Office. And again, it mentions the fact they were looking for him since March the 25th. And the charges of 5 counts of felony statutory RAPE of a child under age 15 and 2 counts of first-degree statutory sex offense with a child under age 13. And he's been in jail, bond has been denied, and no trial date has been identified so far. Also on November the 12th, we learned that this man pictured here, 29-year-old Joseph Smith of New Bern, North Carolina, we learned that he had been arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. According to the police report, he was actually arrested on November 7th, but the press release came a week later, and that's why I'm saying November the 12th. That's because that's when it was dated in the newspaper. Specifically, he was charged with 6 counts of second-degree sexual exploitation of a minor and 8 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. And I know there's child sex porn charges included in here as well. And when he appeared at his first court appearing, he was issued a bond of $750,000. And on November 14th, this private school athletic coach, 39-year-old Matthew Elliott, he was arrested and charged with having a relationship with 2 of his student athletes. Now, specifically, he was charged with 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child/student. And it says the former coach here, because once the school was able to verify the activities, they fired him. And they banned him from all of their campuses. And they also issued a press release confirming their support for a safe environment for their students. They talked about putting him on admin leave and then firing him once the allegations were confirmed. Now, when Elliott appeared before the judge, he waived his right to counsel and he told the judge he had no comment about the charges. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. And we travel back to Lexington, North Carolina. The date of this arrest or the date of the report was November 15, 2024, and the headline read, North Carolina man facing additional child sex crimes after June arrest. And here we're talking about an already convicted sex offender, Forrest Garber. This man had just gotten out of jail. He served time for child sexual abuse. So he gets out of jail in June and he's found in a car in a public street with a child engaging in sex. And come to find out, he told authorities he met the child online. So he met this child online, and he's doing the same thing he had been arrested before. So it kind of makes you wonder whether convicted sex offenders, whether or not they actually changed their game, because he went back to doing the very same thing. So he's thrown in jail and given a $500,000 bond. But while he's in jail, now in November, several months later, he is hit with 15 additional counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. So these are different charges. And the bond has gone now from $500,000. They added another $250,000. So he's $750,000 and he remains in jail, unable to make bond, and no court date has been set. November 15th, there was this arrest from Bladen County, and it involves this man, 28-year-old Corey Heckler. I had to take a second look at the picture because he does look to be a bit older than 28, but that's his age. They say he's 28, and this arrest was the result of a parent looking into their child's cell phone, and they saw some very unusual communication, which was taken to the police, and the information was traced back to Heckler, and it was discovered there had been an inappropriate relationship between the child and 28-year-old Heckler, and he was arrested and charged with statutory RAPE and given a bond of $250,000. But the case remains open, and investigators are saying that it's possible that additional charges are forthcoming. So in addition to that $250,000, which he has not been able to make bond, it's very possible that if there are additional charges, the bond will be elevated. So Mr. Heckler might be in jail for a very long time. Now let's move back to Raleigh, and the date is November 18, 2024, and the next set of arrests comes with a serious message from law enforcement officials because they believe that child sex abuse trafficking is on the rise, and they've sent out a very serious message for parents. But we'll review that at the end. But again, on November 18, the headlines read, 8 arrested in Wake County trafficking child sex abuse sting. And I described it simply as to catch a predator. Police were at the other end of chat lines, and they were communicating with these individuals out there, and the individuals thought had made commitments with young children, young juveniles, so they can meet at specific paces in order to have sex. But at the other end was really police officers, and when they showed up, they were arrested, plain and simple. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 8 men who were arrested in this child sex trafficking ring. They range in ages from 51. He's Brian Mobley. He's the oldest, 51, and the youngest one, and Brian Mobley is on the bottom right, and Alejandra Sean Colon, he's at the left, he's 22. So the oldest was 51, and the youngest was 22. And here are their charges. Primarily, they were charged with attempted statutory RAPE and solicitation of a child by computer. That's what most of them, except for the youngest, a 22-year-old Colon, he was arrested for some additional charges to include indecent liberties with a child, in addition to the statutory RAPE attempted statutory sex offense, and solicitation of a child by computer. So he had additional charges, and he had a $300,000 bond, which he was able to post. And on November the 20th, we learned that this man, 34-year-old Mark Roy Saber, was arrested and charged with indecent liberties with a child and solicitation of a child via the computer. Now, according to the police report, the actual incident took place on the 12th of November, but the date of the police report was a week later on November the 20th. Now, it was reported that Saber posted a $10,000 secure bond and was released one day after his arrest, and no court date has been identified so far. And here's the information that was posted to the public by the Scarborough Police Department. It's essentially the same that I've already told you. It talked about him, Saber, his age, where he's from, and his charges, and the $10,000 bond, and they said they would not be releasing any additional information at this time. On November the 21st, we learned that this man pictured here was wanted for sex crimes in North Carolina. We learned that he had been captured in California by the California Highway Patrol. Now, obviously, he had fled the state after a warrant was issued for his arrest, but he's coming back to face the law. And here are the charges that he's facing: 2 counts of first-degree statutory RAPE, 2 counts of first-degree statutory sex offense, 2 counts of incest with a child under the age of 13, 2 counts of intentional child abuse inflicting serious bodily injury, 2 counts of felony child abuse by sexual acts, 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child, and 2 counts of crimes against nature. He's coming back to face the law. On November 22nd, also, Eric Scott Threadgill, 59-year-old of Mooresville, he was arrested and charged with 4 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, and he was given a bond of $80,000. November the 25th, we learned that a former elected official, an elected alderman, and a former police officer, 53-year-old Trey Jordan, we learned that he was arrested on the 23rd, actually, and charged with multiple counts of child sex crimes. So specifically, he was charged, it included 7 counts of indecent liberties with a minor, 5 counts of statutory RAPE of a child over the age of 8. And I did not see any bond, so maybe he's in jail without any bond, but bond was never mentioned. On November the 27th, I'm sorry, we learned that this man here, Darren Jewel Nichols, age 52, we learned he's from Randolph County. We learned that he was arrested and charged with multiple counts of child sex crimes. Specifically, he's being charged with felony indecent liberties with a child and misdemeanor sexual battery, and he was assigned a bond of $25,000, a secure bond of $25,000. He did have his first court appearance on December the 2nd, but I did not see that information posted. Now, also on November 27th, we learned that a teacher and a principal at a high school in Concord, North Carolina, were both charged with in related to sex-related offenses. The teacher, Tyle Woods, age 23, was charged with having an inappropriate relationship with a student at the school, and the principal was charged with covering it up. The teacher's charges are 3 counts of indecent liberties with a child and 1 count of permitting a minor to assist in obscenity. I'm not really sure what that means, but he received a bond of $100,000. Now, the exact charges against the principal are 1 count of failure to report abuse and 1 count of failure to report crimes against a juvenile. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't assume that you can just turn your heads and pretend you don't see or you're not getting involved. That principal had an obligation to report that crime. It was her duty to do so, so now she has to answer to the law. And it's not just the principal. This law affects individuals nationwide. Well, let's focus in North Carolina. I know it also has impacted church leaders because I've read where individuals in the church or the leadership in the church was charged with knowing about and failing to report child sex abuse. And it's time everyone is held accountable. And the next case is coming out of Charlotte, and the date of this reporting was November the 27th, 2024. And this is the perfect example of when the news headline simply does not match the specifics of the story. Because according to the news headline, this man pictured here, 24-year-old Bayron Arnaldo Ramirez Brasilia. It says Charlotte man admitted to trying to have sex with a 14-year-old girl, Warren Show. But when you actually look at the inside and out of the story, it's a little bit different, as you shall see. Now, according to reports, this young man did admit to the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department that he was in a relationship with this 14-year-old girl, that she had been his girlfriend for 3 months, and that he had tried to have SCX with her. He never said that he did, but it was the mother, in fact, who contacted the police when she found out from her daughter that this man had picked the daughter up from the bus stop, and had her skip school so they can have SEX. And later he did confirm that they had been intimate on more than one occasion, and hence the charges. He's facing multiple charges for child sex crimes. I'm sure there's a lot more to it that we don't know because you never actually get to see the arrest warrant. But nonetheless, multiple charges for child sex crime. His bond is set at $200,000 and he remains in jail. And I want to wrap this up by sharing with you this latest news report from a November newspaper as well. You have a former teacher, age 73. She is retired. She's enjoying her retirement, but guess what? She's now facing child sex abuse allegations from when she was in fact teaching. So what has happened? This has been carried with her into her retirement. Very unfortunate. And this is probably a very good place for us to end. I apologize. This video is it's a little bit longer than usual. But I think what I've shown you today is that just about every other day in the state of North Carolina, there's someone out here who's being charged with a child sex crime. And those are the ones who are being charged. But there are others who are also being violated. They just have not had the courage to bring it to someone's attention. Keep in mind, this was only for a 30-day period, and just about every other day you had someone being charged. I think it's scary, and it's also shameful that we're not doing more to protect our children. Now, one of the things I mentioned is that child sex trafficking, it seems to be on the rise in North Carolina. Lawmaker has put out some guidance for parents, and instead of embedding that information in the back of a video, because it's so very important, I think I would address it in a separate video. I also have some information on a few individuals who were recently sentenced after being convicted of child sex crimes. I'll bring that to you in another video as well. So we'll stop here today, and we'll pick up with you in a few weeks. And that's all I have for you right now, but feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video, and by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.